I think this should have been one of the very first videos of our channel. It has been long overdue in that sense, and Ibrahim will be finally happy that I sat down to make this video, because she has been telling me to make this video for a long time. And I also think it might be a bit controversial. In no way or form the reason that I'm going to state for me to leave my country and come to the UK belittle anyone that's working in my country. It is completely my decision that I took. It was my journey that you all are aware of through our blog and YouTube channel. But I think it might come across as negative for my country, for my country's workforce and working condition. But I'm trying to state this as I believe it's to be true, and it's for you to decide. So let's start talking about what were the reasons for me to leave my country and to come to the United Kingdom. So I think a bit of background is necessary. I graduated from Bangladesh. I am a Bangladeshi by birth. And after graduation, I completed my internship. And right after internship, I took the PLAB exams and came to the UK to work as a doctor. And we're talking about around 2017-18 when I finished my all PLAB exams and I got my GMC registration to work as a doctor. The primary decision of leaving the country was taken during internship period. And I think it has been not a very quick decision, I would say. But I think over the period of a few months, I took the decision that I would leave the country and I will not stay. So you can say that it was not a spur of the moment. At the same time, it was not a long drawn plan as well. Like, I was not thinking about leaving the country when I was in my third year or fourth year. I was not thinking about anything. I think partly that is the reason during internship, even though a few months of internship is when I took the decision that no, I have to think about leaving the country. And now that I'm sitting down making this video, when I think about the reasons, it might not have been that apparent to me at that time. Probably it was in my subconscious and it's driven me to go forward to make this call. But when I ask myself now, if I can go back in time in that situation and know the things that I know, would I have made that choice? And I would definitely do. And what would be the reasons of making that choice? And I think I'll try to go down that path and state the reasons why I left my country and came to work in the United Kingdom. I think at the top of the list would be job opportunities post-graduation. So I would want to state here that the knowledge that I have now was not similar when I was doing my internship or even fifth year, fourth year medical school. But what I knew that it was quite limited opportunities after you finish MBBS in Bangladesh. And the opportunities mainly included going for civil service, which is the government jobs. And there was a fierce competition and a very long drawn selection process. If I'm not wrong, to get into the job, it takes almost 3 years to go through all the selection process, all the exams, preliminary, viva, written, and all the other stuff to go through. And I was thinking, like, I don't see myself doing that during the internship time. And I remember during the internship time, I did not even collect the form or submit my application to sit for this exam. So I was quite firm that I don't see myself doing that, jumping into that uncertainty, going into that labor of finishing this long drawn exams. And that too, this exam did not include majority of the time, I think, at least the preliminary exam did not include all medical questions. They include general knowledge, literature, and all the other stuff. And I did not see myself studying that during that time. apart from civil service, the other opportunities of job, like working in a private hospital or corporate hospitals, did not seem as secure, if you know what I mean. That means that getting into the job it was difficult, and at the same time, I felt at that time that there is no security or progression in that kind of a career. So to sum up this whole cause, I would say job opportunities was quite less, and I did not see myself growing my career in Bangladesh post MBBS, and that would be one of the big reasons. Along that vein, the next reason would be the progression in your career. I did not feel that the progression was quite defined. For example, getting into training, getting into different postgraduate exams, postgraduate training. There's so many various pathways. And to be honest, I did not even seek that much of clarification as well. It was not available to know what kind of post-graduation you should go for. There are two very different streams which can be merged together, like if you go for FCPS or if you go for MD. So yes, there was lack of knowledge on my part that I did not find out. But I think as an overall, I found it really easy to see my career progression outside my country rather than inside my country. There are so many roadblocks along the way of your progression, and majority of the roadblocks would be exam pass rates. I knew one of my teachers failed FCPS exam for 8th time, and if I remember correctly, in my fifth year of medical school, I heard that the FCPS pass rate is less than 5%. So I just didn't see myself doing that, going through that uncertainty, and at the same time, failures, multiple failures. But I know many people have done it in first go. I could have been that person. But as I said, that kind of influenced me to think that how my progression would be if I continue in my country. Am I cut out for this kind of long drawn career progression, riddled with exam failures, retakes, and there are so many laws that is not conducive to career progression as well. So that would be another reason that the career progression in my country was not well defined to me, or at least I felt that I would not be able to progress well if I pursue my further career after MBBS in my country. This reason, I think, partly because of how the education of the general population in my country is. I'm talking about doctor-patient relationship in Bangladesh. There has been a lot of news regarding violence against doctors. During my medical life, I remember at least 4 or 5 or even more incidents that came into a huge media limelight about how general population was angry at doctors and went to their workplace and beat them up. It happened multiple times, and I remember even going for rallies and different kind of situations that we want a safe workplace. I'm 100% sure that there are many of my colleagues probably is there working who had never similar incidents and did not have to go through this kind of incidents. But on the other hand, this kind of incidents did happen in my country, didn't it? So part of me probably also was thinking that this, at least if I change and go to a different country, there probably will not be direct violence against me, that I will not have to fear that I will get beat up in my workplace. So I think that is one of the major reasons behind that that has formed while I was in medical school, that job security, not job security as in security of yourself in your workplace. Another major reason would be, I think, very apparent for many of the aspirants who are thinking about leaving the country is pay. Pay is definitely something, one of the main reasons that many doctors around the world try to leave their country and go to another country. And I think that this is one of the major reasons as well. Because when I was looking at F2 salary, you Google and you find out that F2 salary, yearly salary, I converted it to monthly salary on a salary calculator, and one is looking at that number, and I was converting that to my currency, and I could not believe myself. As a doctor at this age, without any post-graduation or anything, just by getting registration, my first job in this country, I would get paid so much compared to what I would get paid in my country. Even after figuring out what my expenses would be in my country, I still will have a huge chunk of money for me to support my family at home, to save and prosper and all other things. So I think if you stay in my country, the pay progression is really poor. As I said, even if you get a good corporate job, there is no security that you will sustain that job. There is no progression in that job. If you only get a government service, probably then your pay is a bit more amenable. But then again, as I told you earlier, getting into a government Bangladesh civil service job is not an easy feat. So there was a huge gap in between getting into that position and starting from that. So how would I close that gap? That was my question. You cannot become a BCS a doctor working in a government hospital and have a flourishing private practice in 1 year. So not even probably in 2 years. So how would I process, or how would I fill up that gap of my income? So that's probably, I was thinking that no, I want to move to a greener pasture where the pay would be a bit higher, and that greener pasture for me was United Kingdom. Apart from poor pay, I would also say about the hours that you put in to work. I remember during my internship time, the hours that I worked was almost 80 hours work week. And how much did I get paid for that? At the same time, when you move on to a different job, this becomes an issue as well. You cannot just do a 9-to-5 job and support yourself. Invariably, you will have to start some extra thing apart from your job to supplement your income. Otherwise, you'll not be able to support yourself. That's what I believed, and I think that's what is true for a lot of doctors working in Bangladesh, that to actually sustain yourself and a family, you can't just completely rely on your 9-to-5 job. You do have to have supplement income, open a clinic, or be a part of a clinic where you see private patients. And that's where the majority of the income is, unfortunately. And to delve into that, it's not easy. And I said, it doesn't come in 1 year or 2 years. You have to work towards it. So I think the hours that you put in for your life, you don't have any hours for your life outside of work in Bangladesh. And I have seen that happen to my consultants that I was working with. They had every day probably they were working more than 12 hours to 14 hours, combining hospital, medical school, their own private clinics. And to be honest, that didn't seem like a life I would want to live. There is not much of a work-life balance, and you are so worried about your clinic patients that if you're not sitting in a clinic for a couple of days, you fear that the new patients you had the opportunity to gain is lost. They will go to another consultant. So you see, there's a lot of you're basically become married to your work. You don't have any time for any family function. You don't have any time for your family. You don't have any time for yourself. You become engrossed in work. as you progress in your career farther and farther, you feel like trapped in this job. And that kind of sums up for a lot of consultants that I have seen and I've worked with. So the work-life balance would be a major reason that I left my country. And also, I need to mention about the nepotism and favoritism that happens in workplace. Starting from getting the first job or getting the job in corporate hospitals and everything, you'd sometimes know that there is no point dropping a CV. It's already decided who will get appointed for this job, or probably you don't know who, but someone has been already decided even before the interview happened who will get the job. And that sort of thing happens quite a lot. You would have to know someone to go somewhere. You have to have that kind of references. You have to have that phone call from someone to hospital, and you will have a job. It doesn't matter whether you are qualified. It doesn't matter whether you are the best candidate for the job. And that exists. I'm not going to say that exists everywhere, obviously, but that does exist in different places. And I felt that there is not enough, valuation of talent or qualifications as well. And I didn't see myself working in this system. That I have to go somewhere and I have to plead to someone, or I'll have to shake hands with someone that I don't want to get to where I am qualified to go. So what I'm trying to say in a convoluted way is favoritism and nepotism exists in workplace, and it exists in a very big scale in Bangladesh as well. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist in United Kingdom now that I've worked here for almost 4 years. But on selection process, I would definitely say, training selection, even for job selection, there is a degree of transparency they have to maintain here in this United Kingdom, which is not 100% true in my country. So I think this was probably one of the reasons as well when I'm thinking back that, I was thinking that after MBBS, if I have to go somewhere, I will have to, I'll have to have some pool or references before I can go somewhere. It doesn't matter if I'm the best candidate for the job. If I don't have enough references, I will not get selected for the job. So I decided not to pursue that. I think the final thing that I'm going to say is in career progression, there is a rat race. You have to be somewhere. You have to get the degrees. You have to get the diplomas. You have to get through training program as soon as possible and get a label of consultant or specialist or something. Or even if you're not a consultant, you have to write somewhere that you're a consultant. So I didn't feel that I would be able to go through that. The constant pressure that, what kind of consultant are you? What kind of specialist are you? I was asked that when I was in my med school, so what kind of specialist are you going to become? So I think that rat race gets ingrained in you when you are in med school, and after you get out of med school and you finish your internship, and you just have this complete one, pipeline vision that that I have to reach a destination as soon as possible. I have to be somebody as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, or something like that. And I would say that I probably didn't know this before I came to the UK. But now that I am here, it's so easy to just work and don't not getting into that rat race of becoming a consultant in the UK. So I would definitely say that the life in the United Kingdom as a doctor, it's not comparable, obviously, because of the healthcare infrastructure, because of resources that we have. I would not. I mean, it would be. It's not a comparable thing to compare life as a doctor in the UK versus life as a doctor in Bangladesh. But I think as a novice doctor or even a medical student, the decision that I took to change country and come to the UK obviously factored around those things that you can't really compare because of the differences of these two countries, differences of culture, differences of resources, differences of GDP, for crying out loud. But I think what is the purpose of my making this video is just to give you an idea of how you can also make that decision, and at the same time why you should make that decision, or why you can make that decision. But I think it comes off as a bit wrong when I say you should. Whether you should or shouldn't is completely up to you. Maybe as I started the video saying that I have many colleagues and seniors and friends who are working in Bangladesh, and they are quite happy with their job. They are quite settled in their home, and they're happy that they are working there. Even with all the things I've mentioned, it's what I felt and not necessarily what they feel. So I believe the purpose of making this video is to just give you that the question in your mind. You should ask yourself and how you feel seeing yourself in a career in your country. If you're happy with it, fantastic. That's the ultimate aim of our life, being happy and content. So I think that's it. I think that sums up this video. And if you have any question or any opinion to share, please comment in this video below. And we do run a personalized guidance session to help you once you already made that decision to come to the UK, and what would be the steps and what would happen after. Please visit our website road2.uk/session for further details. Until then, continue to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and obviously subscribe our channel in YouTube if you haven't already. And have a nice day.